Good evening. Welcome to World News. I am Wisdom Onyisi. First, the headline. Nigerian President Tinubu to demand ceasefire at Arab Islamic Summit. Russia, Ukraine launch massive drone attacks. Dozens detained after defying Amsterdam protest ban. And on sport, on tennis, Senna wins finals opener after Fritz beats Iret Medvedev. Now the news in details. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has arrived in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia for the joint Arab Islamic Summit. Tinubu's presidential jet touched down at the King Abdulaziz International Airport around 10 a.m. local time over the weekend. He was received by the Deputy Governor of Riyadh, Prince Mohammed Abdul Rahman. The president, among other issues, is expected to demand the immediate ceasefire to the Israel-Palestinian conflict at the Islamic Summit expected to commence today. However, from that, the federal government, through the Office of the Head of Civil Service Commission, has accused ministries of conducting promotion exercise for special civil servants without following due process. A memo signed by the head of civil service of the Federation, D.D. Wasinjak, which was cited by Newsman, warned such ministries. It advised that cases of promotion for special deserving civil servants should be forwarded to the Federal Civil Service Commission. The memo was addressed to the Chief of Staff, to the President, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Ministers, Head of Department, agencies such as the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, and Permanent Secretaries, among others. The Economic and Financial Crime Commission, EFCC, has urged a federal high court in Abuja not to grant the relief sought by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State in his fundamental right enforcement suit, describing it as speculative. The EFCC, in its counter affidavit in opposition to Sanwo-Olu's originating summons, told Justice Joyce Abdul Malik that the governor's action in the instant suit is a mere conjecture. Recall that Sanwo-Olu, through his counsel, Darlington Ozurumba, had sued the anti-graft agency as sole defendant over alleged threat to arrest, detain, and prosecute him after his tenure as governor. Welcome back. Now news from other parts of Africa. At least 15 Chadian soldiers were killed and 32 others wounded in clashes between the army and Boko Haram fighters over the weekend, the army spokesman said, adding that 96 Boko Haram members were also killed. General Isaac Achek did not say where the operation took place or provide any detail on the circumstances. He added that army also wounded 11 Boko Haram members and seized arms and equipment. The region has been attacked repeatedly by insurgencies, including Islamic State in the West African and Boko Haram, which erupted in the northeast Nigeria in 2009 and spread to the west of Chad. Around 40 soldiers were killed in an attack on a military base in Chad's Lake region at the end of last month, after which interim President Mahamat Idris Deby threatened to withdraw the Central African country from a multinational security force. Away from that, Botswana's new president has said that he wants undocumented Zimbabweans to be legalized by granting them temporary work and residence permit. Botswana hosts the world's second largest community of Zimbabweans fleeing their country's economic woes, and they are often resented, with deportation taking place daily. The decision is not likely to be popular in the diamond-rich Southern African nation, but Boko, who has just unseated the ruling party, that was in power for 58 years, said it was part of his plans to revive the economy. President Boko said it was a challenge when thousands of Zimbabweans entered Botswana through the long and porous border between the two countries. Now we move to other parts of the world after this break. Please stay with us.
This is Hillstv. Quality broadcasting is what we'll bring to you. Now we be this
Hillstv, Poker.
Welcome back. Now news from other parts of the world. Russia and Ukraine launched record drone attacks on each other despite a phone call reported by the Washington Post from U.S. President-elect Donald Trump urging Russian President Vladimir Putin not to escalate the almost 3-year conflict and has thrown into question Washington's multi-billion-dollar support for Kyiv, crucial to its defense. The Republican said on the campaign trail that he would end the fighting within hours and has indicated he would talk directly by President Joe Biden. The Washington Post reported that Trump has a phone call on Thursday with the Russian strongman in. We also have you know that Dutch police detained dozens of pro-Palestinian protesters in Amsterdam over the weekend after they defied a demonstration ban. But in place, the wake of violence against Israeli football on scooters in several areas of the city. We also have you know that Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed off a landmark defense pact with North Korea, a deal that comes amidst reports that Pyongyang has dispatched thousands of troops to fight against Ukraine. Putin struck the deal, ratifying the treaty on its website over the weekend. The agreement formalizes months of deepened security cooperation between the two nations, which were communist allies because of Russia's full-scale offensive on Ukraine. The deal obligates both states to provide military assistance without delay in the case of an attack on each other. Up next is business. Please stay with us. Welcome back now to business news. Global trade remains in contraction at start of Q4. Manager Index survey compiled by the S&P Global Market Intelligence indicated that global trade in goods and services remained in deterioration at the start of the final quarter of the year, posting below the 50.0 neutral mark for a fifth consecutive month. The latest reading signaled that trade conditions deteriorated again, albeit at the less pronounced pace compared to September. By sectors was observed in the latest survey period as services trade growth slowed. The latest fall in manufacturing export orders continue to correspond to global trade volumes falling approximately 3 to 4% in year-on-year terms into the start of the fourth quarter of 2024. Away from that, Ghana crude oil production has seen a significant turn to positive outcome in the first half of the year as production surpasses that of the same period last year. There has been a 55.6% increase in revenue received for the period as a result of higher production, which recorded over 10% increase. In financial terms, Ghana received $840.7 million in the first half of the year as against $540 million in the same period last year. Still on business news, as widely expected, the Bank of England trimmed borrowing cost by 25 basis points to 4.75% at a regular policy meeting, its second reduction since August. The U.S. Federal Reserve is set to reduce rate later in the day. The Consumer Price Index in the Britain stands at 1.7%, the lowest level since 2021 and below the 2% target. Major central banks started this year to cut interest rates that had been hiked in efforts to tame inflation, which had soared following the end of COVID lockdowns and Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Sweden's central bank slashed borrowing cost by 0.5 basis points, its fourth this year and biggest reduction in a decade, while Norway made no change. Still to come is sport. Please stay with us.
This is Hillstv. Quality broadcasting is what we'll bring to you. Now we be this
Hillstv, Polka.
Welcome back now to Sport News. Bayelsa United head coach Ladan Bosol has insisted that his team is a work in progress amid the ultimatum given by the club's management. The Prosperity Boys halted their winless run with 1-0 victory over Rivers United at the Adokie Amir Mascal Stadium, Port Harcourt, over the weekend. But with the team, Bayelsa United is a work in progress and they will continue to work to get things right. Away from that, let's move over to cricket, where we'll have you know that Jos Buttler smashed a blistering 83 from 45 balls as England cruised to the 7-wicket win over West Indies, a perfect record against the Australian 7th seed. Earlier, American Freight recorded his 50th win of the year by beating Medvedev 6-4, 6-3 as the group stage of the season-ending tournament got underway. Fourth seed Medvedev hit 7 double fought in a tight opening set in the Leo Natesel group, including 2 back-to-back to give Fred set point. And that's Sport News on World News. We move to the rest of the news after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now the rest of the news. President-elect Donald Trump has reappointed Tom Homan, his former acting director of U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement, to serve as border Caesar in his new administration. Trump made this on Teddy's. We informed you that Cena wins final opener